What is the LCD on number 5? Yeah, it should be 8. Again, when you have binomials, you may want to put those parentheses around them. That way you just remember it stays together. You have to multiply or distribute the number to both pieces. So then simplify. 4 into 8 is 2. 2 into 8 is 4. And these 8s cross out. And then write what you have left. Be careful when you distribute. This one ends up being kind of weird because you get an A on both sides. So what I would recommend is combine that left side first. So just put your A's together and your numbers together. So 2A plus 4A is what? 6A. And then you have 10 plus 20, 30, equals A. What's the coefficient in front of this A?
1.
A 1, yeah. So just don't forget that. Okay, so you can do one of two things. You can move the 6A to the right, so the A's are on the same side, or you can move the 1A to the left, and then you have to subtract the 30 over. So which way do you want to go?
Move the 1A to the left. 6.
Which way?
Move the 6A.
You want to move the 6A to the right? Okay, so the 6A's cross out, and now I have 30 equals negative 5A. Good. So you're just doing the 1 minus the 6, and then the A stays. How do you solve for A now?
Divide by 8.
Perfect. Divide by negative 5. So that is negative 6. And I'm going to switch that because I don't like it that way. So when you have a variable on both sides, just put it onto one side. It doesn't matter if it's the left or the right. And then put the numbers on the other side. Okay, so if you had moved the 1A over first, that's fine. But don't forget, then you'd have to have a 0 on the right-hand side. Okay, so everything we've done so far is addition. So now the last 3 are subtraction, which means you just have to be careful when you distribute. So on number 6, what is the LCD? 18. Let's do that. So multiply 18 to each one. And then reduce. So 2 into 18, 9. 9 into 18, 2. And the 18's crossed out. And make sure here you put that subtraction sign. And then you have to make sure you distribute it too. So that's what I've seen already is people just missing that negative 2. You're not distributing it correctly. So then 9t minus 36 minus 2t plus 6 equals 5. Any questions on how to get any of these pieces right here? We okay? So combine like terms. 9t minus 2t is 7t. Negative 36 plus 6, negative 30 equals 5. How do you solve for t?
Add 30.
Add 30 to the right. So 7t equals 35, and divide by 7. Oops. Any questions on 5 or 6? Okay, so I want you to start on the next one. The last 2 are going to be quadratic, so you're going to get 2 answers. So on number 7, what's the denominator under the 4? A 1. So I would recommend writing that because else it's kind of tricky. Some people forget what's there. So go ahead and find the LCD. Start multiplying it out. So So on number 7, the LCD is 8. So here the 8's cross out. Here it's just 1 and 8, so nothing crosses out there. You just have to leave it. And then this one too goes into 8 4 times. So we get x squared minus what?
32.
32, right. You have 4 times 8, so make sure you're careful with what's left, equals 4x. So over here off to the side, make yourself a note. When there's an x squared, you want to move everything to one side. Move all to one side. And you want it to equal 0. Because we're going to factor it. Okay, so if you don't have an x squared, you can just solve for x like normal. But when you have an x squared, we want to move everything to one side. So I usually go to the side where the x squared is positive. So we have x squared minus 4x minus 32 equals 0. Where'd I get what?
I get 32.
The negative 32 comes from here. You have negative 4 times 8. You have to be careful, make sure you don't miss any numbers. Okay, after that, you're going to factor. So you have your 2 sets of parentheses. So we multiply 1 times negative 32. List your factors. 1 and 32, 2 and 16, 4 and 8. So I get positive 4 and negative 8. What do I divide by?
1.
Yeah, a 1x. 1x. So x plus 4 and x minus 8. Now we've done this step before, but I don't think we tested over it. You split up. After you factor here, you're going to split it up. So you get x plus 4 equals 0. And you get x minus 8 equals 0. So you get 2 different answers. Subtract 4. So x equals negative 4. And to add 8, x equals 8. Any questions on number 7? Okay, so I want you guys to go ahead and start number 8. Most of you are off to a great start with the 30 as the LCD. Make sure you wrote that negative 5 here, not a positive 5. And then make sure you distributed that negative 5 carefully. So you can combine like terms on the left-hand side. So 6x squared plus x minus 5 equals 10. And then here, because you have that x squared, you want this side to equal 0. So you want to move over whatever's over here. So then it goes away. 6x squared plus x minus 15 equals 0. Are there any questions on how to get to this point? I think most of you got to at least this point up here, so that was good. So move the 10 over, and now I need a factor. So because there's a number here, I have to multiply that number by the last number. So 6 times negative 15 is negative 90. I don't know what all these are. You've got a lot here. 3 and 30.
5 and 18.
5 and 18. I don't know. 9 and 10. 6 and what?
Sorry, 6 and 15.
15, thank you.
That's equal 1.
Okay, so it has to equal positive 1. These are all positives. And then these are all negatives. So we want this negative 9 and 10. What do I divide by?
6.
6x, right. So on number 7, I divided by just a 1x because it was just an x squared in front. This one, though, you have to divide by a 6x, and then we reduce. Oh, you can't see that, sorry. So if we reduce this one, negative 3 over 2x, reduce this one, positive 5 over 3x. And so then you write that starting at the bottom. So 2x minus 3, and then this one would be 3x plus 5 equals 0. So you're going to have quite a few like that where you're going to get two answers because you need to factor. So if you get stuck on one that has an x squared in it, factor it first. So then we'll split it up and set each one equal to 0. 2x minus 3 equals 0, and 3x plus 5 equals 0. So on this one, we'll add 3 and divide by 2. And subtract 5 and divide by 3. So you will get fractions, just leave them. No need to put that in your calculator for a decimal. That's perfectly fine.